Hey everybody, welcome to Future Forward. Today, secret tips from the entertainment desk.
Then robots, because, robots.
And some cutting edge new tech from the very edge of COVID.
And our friend Glenn Zorpette joins us to help with the geeky stuff.
I'm Steve Rosenbaum, and this is Future Forward.
I'm Alexis Scordato, and let us launch.
Hey, we are launched. We are live, which is exciting and fun, and that means that you can chat with us. And if you've got questions and you want to participate, we might even have the tech down far enough that we could bring you on in. Now, our friend Glenn appears to have arrived in the green room. So Glenn, we are live, and we're going to just see whether or not if we click this button magically. Hey, there he is. Hey, Glenn.
So cool.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, don't say anything terrible. You're on live.
Oh, good. Okay.
So we're testing a new platform that is different than our previous ones. This is StreamYard, and it allows us. We're going to be able to look at some clips of video and hear the sound. And the other thing is we can now, each of you guys can share your screens, or as we move forward through this interesting 3-chapter show, if there's something you're like, wait, I want to show you that. Like, I can either call it up on my side, which I'm happy to do, or you can do a share screen. So we'll play. This is an experiment, but so far we're all here, and theoretically we are also live and recording, by the way. So we'll put it out so this is a show we're going to do in 3 chapters. So chapter 1 is what we're watching or eating or listening to or tapping our foot to, or it's the entertainment desk, which we thought would be a useful, and we're going to give some good recommendations. I found some good stuff. I'm excited to share. Then chapter 2 is COVID and tech, and Glenn volunteered that we were going to geek out on some actually fairly esoteric stuff. And I read the links, and you're right, it's pretty esoteric, which is great. And then last but not least, we spent a bunch of time poking around, and kind of no matter what we found, it all seemed to come back to robots. And robots do well. Robots are strangely adorable until they're not. And so that's the show. This is Future Forward, episode 318. And we are ready to get started. Okay, so first, let's start with things we're watching. Let me see if I can pull this up. All right, there we are. Anyone want to go first?
Sure. I mean, I've just been doing a lot of Netflix, but my taste ranges from unorthodox. I binged that last weekend. 4-part, I guess, movie almost, just about a woman in an Orthodox community, Jewish Orthodox community in South Williamsburg, and she runs away to Germany. Very, very entertaining. I actually was fascinated by the heroine, the lead character. And, in a complete 180, I also watched everything from The Circle to Love is Blind and then Too Hot to Handle. Basically, like the just like turn off your brain Netflix stuff.
The Circle got great reviews, and I thought it was terrible. I don't know why people love it. I just may not be the target audience. I didn't get it.
I didn't love it, but I did think that the people on the show surprised you.
And I really did like Unorthodox.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. Glenn, what about you? You're deep in. You're in the 50s, aren't you?
Well, I've been listening to a lot of music to pass the time and keep a good frame of mind. So I'm a big fan of the TuneIn Radio app. And I, in particular, have been enjoying a lot of big band and popular music of the 1940s, the World War II era. There are a number of really good streaming channels on TuneIn for that kind of music. And I just find it soothing. Somehow there's like a kind of subconscious reminder that people got through rough times a long time ago. But I just love big band. But there's Radio Sausalito. There's a station called KDKI, which is an actual radio station in Idaho. There's something called Radio D Swing, which comes out of France. I also mix it up with some classical. You can stream Radio Suisse Classical from Switzerland. So good stuff.
So I'm gonna do watch and then listen. I'll do watch first. So I don't know how, when you have a little bit of free time, sometimes what happens is you watch things or listen to things that you wouldn't ordinarily. So I ended up stumbling into some reviews for a masterpiece theater show called Press, which is I'm on episode 2, so don't spoil it. No spoilers. But it's about the British tabloid print press, and it's Murdochian. There's a Murdoch aura around the debates over tabloid versus straight up journalism that's pretty interesting. But the characters are great, and it's pretty compelling, and I like it a lot. And I think it's probably just getting noticed now.
Is it like an ensemble cast? So like 5 principal characters?
Yeah, ensemble cast. And I really did like Unorthodox a lot. I was expecting, I'd read the reviews. I was really expecting to hate it and turn it off. And in fact, I liked it a lot and was really disappointed when it ended. Like
Same.
Like 4th I was like, really? Only 4?
Mm-hmm.
So next on my list, I'm in season 6 of Bosch.
Interesting.
And I'm going to just play a little bit of it. This is a 2-minute long clip, so we're not going to watch 2 minutes. We'll watch 15 seconds.
Detective Harry Bosch, LAPD. Tell me what you got so far.
Dr. Stanley Kent.
Medical physicist.
Small caliber, works to his knees, execution style. Never a dull moment, like it or not.
So, really like it. And I guess I've watched all 6 seasons, but I guess I didn't know that. And what's funny about it is, like, 6 seasons for anything on television is a lot. Like, and I know all these people that are just discovering it, like, because part of it, I assume we all go through some version of, I got to find the thing I want to watch. I got to read the reviews and make sure it's okay. Then I got to start it. And I'd like to have like a helping. Like I'd like that. So if you're a listener or viewer of Future Forward and you have not tried season 1, episode 1 of Bosch, you could have 6 seasons of enjoyment waiting for you.
This is what I did with Billions recently.
Right. But that's what, that was why Unorthodox bothered me, because I was just getting into it and then it was gone. I was like, there is this ramp up to get into a series that, all right. So maybe these are obvious, but these are the one. There's one that's going to be a surprise. So the next one is Ozark, which I didn't think I was going to watch season 3. To Glenn's point about wanting your media consumption to be inspirational and cleansing, Ozark is maybe one of the darkest things on television. And so here, we'll watch just 15 seconds of the season 3 trailer.
We moved here to start over, and it's been hard.
Wendy?
Sometimes, if you don't move forward, you die.
If we had just kept our heads down, Wendy.
There's nothing we can do about that now. We're committed.
So, by the way, Ozark is on Netflix. Bosch is on Amazon Prime. Part of it is they're 2 actors you've seen before. They're famous. Jason Bateman and Laura Linney, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have to kind of get over, they both have smiley, happy characters in their previous big hits, but they're really good. And but it is super dark. Like it's not the last thing you watch before you go to bed.
Okay.
You need a palate cleanser afterwards of something frothy and light. And then the last one, which I think will come as a surprise, is a show called it's a trailer for a show called Godfather of Harlem. It's on Epix, which is maybe not subscribed to by anybody that I know. But you can now get it through Amazon, and it's there's a there's a 30-day free trial, so you can go in and kind of binge epics, and then if you're done, not sign up. But it's Forrest Whitaker, and it's really, 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 really good.
About
What?
So it's about 1960s. Someone returns from prison. Oh, and so then they come back to their hood, their stomping grounds, and it's not the same.
It's mobster, but it's also got a big chunk of history. Malcolm X has a character in every episode, not the real, you know, and the story of the project is actually fascinating. We don't have time to get into it today, but like at some point we'll talk about it as its own thing, because it just made, when I watch it, it made me a little sad because it's clearly filmmaking, like it's serious heavy lifting filmmaking, and I'm not sure it has much of an audience. The people that reviewed it very positively, but it didn't get much in the way of reviews, which I don't exactly understand. And then music. Let me see if I have the right tab here. No, I don't. So music, I have settled into this. It's not quite a daily ritual. I wish it was. A fabulous piano player named Steve Naive. By the way, Glenn, I want to trade the links back. I think I could use your TuneIn Radio links, because I'm kind of stuck on BGO and FUV, and it would be nice to hear some, you know, big band.
Sure.
Steve Naive is a fabulous piano player and composer, and was a member of the original Elvis Costello band, and they've stayed together for both of their careers. And he just does this thing, and it's in his living room, maybe in the Hamptons. They never really say, but it seems like it is. And he just plays songs. His son comes and sings, and his wife holds the video camera. It's very handmade and kind of a little sloppy-ish, but really authentic. And it's like a salon that you expect a fabulous musician to invite you to. And it's great, and it's live for 2 hours every afternoon. And he has guests dial in.
Sounds wonderful.
It is wonderful. But this is I mean, you know, if we're going to be for some period of time that isn't tomorrow or May 1st, you know, in our apartments, you'd like to think we'll look back on this time and say, wow, I broadened something. I found something new. I'm trying to read a book. I read a book the day that we all got sent home and locked in, and then I have a second book, and I'm having trouble getting into it. I don't know what that is. So what's the best way to discover new things?
Music wise, I actually think Spotify does a really good job recommending things. I think it depends on, like, you know, do you want to watch something that other people are watching so that you can discuss it? Because then, honestly, what we're doing right now is the best. You ask family and friends, what are you watching? And then you watch it so that you can talk about it.
I kept thinking there would be a book club version of Netflix that a bunch of people would get together and watch a thing and talk about it, but that hasn't gelled.
And that's kind of Twitter.
Yeah, I wanted it to be on Zoom. I don't know. I couldn't make it go. At least not yet. So let's talk about shopping. So Alexa, you're shopping for furniture.
Yeah, I have a little terrace outside, and so I just have accepted that summer is going to be a little different this year. And so to the extent that I can make an outdoor oasis where I can read, eat, and maybe do some work, that's what I'm prepping for. So I shopped, I bought some like IKEA outdoor furniture. I went on Wayfair. I bought like outdoor rugs. I'm going to go buy some plants.
So like, is it 5 feet wide, or like it's one of those little terraces?
It runs the length of my apartment. So I can access it from my bedroom and I can access it from the living room. So it's long, but it's pretty shallow.
So it's funny. I was on Amazon 2 nights ago looking at deck furniture. We have a similarly tiny little deck. It is only not the length of the apartment. We've had the apartment a long time. We've never used it. I mean, never. I don't think I've been out there 3 times in my life. And all of a sudden, I'm like, it's the closest thing to sunshine I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I might have to get some furniture. I have not had good experiences ordering online from IKEA.
What happened?
It came. One thing was missing parts. One thing we just didn't like, and returning things was, I mean, even little things, not heavy things, was just impossible. Like they don't. Everything comes by truck, and the truck really doesn't want to come back to pick it up. So,
yeah,
it was a slog. And then we went to IKEA. And then finally we decided, this was a year ago, we were going to go return it. It was like a rug, so we're going to put it under our arm and get on the ferry and go to IKEA to return it. And when we got there, the line in the return area was like 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, you just have to kind of make it a day thing.
Yeah, I don't mind making it a day. I don't even mind eating.
They serve food there.
Yeah, I didn't even mind the meatballs, but waiting in line for 2.5 hours to return a $12 rug was just like,
yeah.
All right, so here's my big. Glenn, did you buy anything good? You doing any online shopping or no?
I a long time ago I started just buying things that I need online. So I go to food stores and I buy food in supermarkets. I still do that with my mask and everything, but I stopped going to stores to buy clothes or CDs or books or wine glasses, or I stopped that a long time ago. I just have everything shipped. So there hasn't been much change for me. If anything, I'm buying fewer things because, Jeff Bezos is asking us all to buy fewer things. So that's fine with me. But actually, ironically enough, this microphone I'm talking into, I bought from Best Buy and it arrived 3 hours ago.
Nice. And it sounds fabulous.
Just in time.
Wow.
By the way, I was thinking you were sounding beefier and broader shouldered.
Yes. It's a Samson Meteor, I think, or something, but it's working great.
Excellent. All right. So I'm going to show you the weirdest purchase of the week. And I did it at first I did it as a goof. And then now that it's coming and it hasn't arrived yet, I think I'm strangely excited about it. Which, I don't know what that means. I bought a clock. And I bought
I heard about this famous clock of yours.
And I bought this clock because I decided at least 3 times a week I was going, it's Wednesday, right? And then you look up at your computer, you have to remember in the little strip at the top of the computer. And I said to my wife, I just want at first I wanted I thought I'd build one. I thought I'd build an Arduino project with a little LED.
This is for dementia sufferers. What's going on?
That and it's possible that's not inappropriate. I'm feeling a little demented. But originally I wanted just a box that would say Tuesday on Tuesday. So I thought I'll be crafty. I'll go and get an Arduino and I'll try and find a project and I'll put out an LED screen. And I literally spent an hour and a half looking for an Arduino project for some kind of digital clock with a day or date on it. And in fact, there was an IEEE project that was close, interestingly enough. But when I did the math, and it was going to cost me like $100 for the Arduino card, which I think I have somewhere in the house, but I couldn't find it. I think my son bought one and it's probably here somewhere, but I couldn't find it. And then I was going to have to buy a box for the kit, and then I was going to have to buy a strip of LEDs, and they were going to come from China. And I was like, yeah. And then I found this, and I'm like, there's something strangely therapeutic about it saying Tuesday on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I will put it up online. I'll put it behind me, or I'll put it on the wall, and we'll decide whether it makes me demented or early adopter. But I think American Lifetime, whoever the company is probably going to have to rebrand this product for like COVID housebound people.
Sure.
But I'm genuinely excited.
Triggered seeing Lifetime though. I'm like, no, this can't be a Lifetime. This is just American Temporary.
Right. Sorry, not Lifetime. All right, so let's just and cooking. We're still doing banana bread, right? We're still on.
I haven't done a banana bread in a few weeks.
I'm
things. For me, it's like all about comfort food. So one of them is Alison Roman's caramelized shallot pasta. which is kind of weird, but it's like really flavorful umami. Don't be scared by the anchovies. My boyfriend doesn't like anchovies, but he really likes this pasta. And the best part about the pasta is the recipe is enough for like multiple servings. So you cook this kind of like shallot, jammy, tomato paste thing. You put in pasta, but like half of it you store in like a mason jar or something. And then you can actually eat it like on toast with chicken thighs. Like it's like the recipe that keeps on giving.
Sounds wonderful.
And then the second thing is just, I'm Filipino, and chicken adobo, if you've never had it, it's just like, it's just awesome. I don't even know how to describe it accurately, but it's my childhood. It's a dish that comes with a lot of nostalgia. It's really easy. And it kind of tastes better the more you like reheat it. So.
It sounds delicious and looks fabuloso. So I am about 2/3 of the way through making a brisket.
Ooh.
I was caramelizing onions for 40 minutes this afternoon.
That's the best smell. It's
honestly,
I caramelized onion candle.
Honestly, it was. I had so much fun. I was listening to a podcast and just stirring onions. It was like, with some salt and paprika mixture that I don't exactly understand, but that was what they said. So the next step is it has to go back in the oven for another hour, and then it will be served for dinner this evening.
You
and
caramelize the onions, and then you put the meat. You sear the meat, and then kind of put it all in a tray together.
Yeah.
And do you do a little like a aluminum foil tent on top of it?
Well, it's funny you should ask that. I have an actual roasting pan that we bought specifically for many years ago, the last brisket we did, and it has a lid on it. And I said to my wife, does that count as a like, is it better or worse than tinfoil? And she's like, oh, it's the same. Because I wasn't sure it sealed it enough. But so all right, so done with food. I'm thinking I want to bake something else. I'm thinking I want to expand my horizons to something that but I was told yeast is very hard to find.
And flour.
So you want to make bread?
Yeah, I think so.
Everyone's doing these sourdough starters.
Yeah, sourdough starters are so hot.
It's fascinating to me how bread became. I mean, I guess it's warm. It's not that hard, and it feels good, and then it smells good, and then it tastes good. So it checks all the boxes.
This is super geeky. I'm pulling up this. I'll share this link out, but we ran this story at Glitch the other week, and it's a story about VR, like a VR bakery, and so you can learn how to make bread in a virtual reality kitchen. How cool is that?
So I have to have headgear?
I guess so, yeah.
By the way, not that it was on our list of things to talk about before we get to robots and geeky stuff. Like, does the fact that Magic Leap just laid off half its staff matter, or in the scope of the universe, no one hardly cares?
Oh, man. I feel like layoffs are just turning into kind of like the rule. It's almost like if you're not doing layoffs, you're like, I don't know.
I guess, but Magic Leap, anyway, let's do Magic Leap another day, because I think
they had a lot of executive turnover even before all this, but that's different show. We'll get back to.
All right, so let's move on to some of Glenn's pages. Glenn, which one do you want to do first?
The robots, or what are we?
No. You sent two pretty geeky things.
Oh yeah. I edited one of those and I wrote the other one. So the first piece is really interesting. This came over the transom to our office, which is surprising because most of the stuff that comes into our office over the transom is we can't use it. But this was interesting. It's about 3 experts in control theory. So control theory is a real, long hair, kind of esoteric, but really important thing. It's basically it's what it sounds like. It's a discipline based on understanding how control systems work. Control systems are used for everything. The most obviously in an industry, you have all these industrial processes, they have to be controlled. So 3 experts in control theory at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver thought about the COVID pandemic as an unstable system. And it made sense to them when they started thinking about it that you could control it using control theory. And it's fascinating. They wrote an article for us. The article is close to 4,000 words, but they really lay out their case. Here is the way this pandemic is like a classic unstable system. And here's why control theory can enable us to control this better than what we're doing. And the article's been doing pretty well for us. Of the last 24 feature articles we've put up online, this is number 7, and it's only been up for a little over a week. So there's definitely interest. It's fascinating. The key aspect of this is the use of feedback. So right now, feedback is being used in a sort of ad hoc, very rough way. So what I mean by feedback is health officials are looking at the caseload in hospitals, and they're saying, hey, the caseload is down by 20% this week compared to last week. So maybe we can start thinking about easing up on our restrictions and so on. So that's a very, very approximate and rough use of feedback. But what these guys are saying is that if we really use feedback, like if we use this in a sophisticated way, the way we use feedback all the time in control theory, we could control this very minutely and precisely. And they lay out the case in this article. And I just found it utterly fascinating.
So Glenn, can you explain feedback a little bit? Like I mean, when I think of feedback, I think about like, oh, how do you do good performance reviews and give your employees good feedback? What is feedback in this context?
So some people, when they think of feedback, you might think about, back in the day in the era of hair rock bands, where, the guitarist would go up and hold his guitar near the amplifier, and you get this screechy noise. So that was an example of feedback. So noise from the guitar was feeding back into the microphones and the amplifiers, and it was going in this loop and it was getting bigger. But feedback is a very precise thing in electronics and control systems. So for example, it's often used in audio amplifiers. So a classic technique in the world of audio amplifiers is you take a tiny bit of your output signal and you feed that back to your input in a certain way. And then you can the amplifier can be adjusted based on that input so that you can get a better output signal. So in other words, you're using what comes out to alter what goes in to get a better result. So that's what we're talking about here with control theory. So in this case, the feedback is, let's say, how many people are in your intensive care ward in your hospital, your intensive care unit. So you're seeing how many people are there, and you're using that number to feed back into your input system, which in this case is your restrictions. So in other words, you have a certain number of restrictions. People can't leave their homes for frivolous reasons. They can't gather in groups and so on. So those are your restrictions. That's kind of what controls the input into your system, which are patients in hospitals. So you can see where if you change those restrictions, you're going to make the patients who are going into the hospital fewer or lesser. So what feedback means is you're taking the number of people in the hospital, which is kind of basically your output, and you're using that number to alter your input conditions, which is how onerous your restrictions are. So you can see the feedback loop that's being set up. That's basically what it means in this case.
So I find that fascinating, but I'm hankering to speak about COVID and robots. Because
COVID and robots, let's do it.
All right, so we have a couple of COVID and robot stories that came from Spectrum as well. So let's just start with this one. This is roboticists who use 3D printers to make PPE for healthcare workers. And you know, I'm in the university system, you know, because of NYC Media Lab. I've access to a lot of the conversations that are going on across universities in New York. And it was fascinating to listen to, particularly in the maker community, the number of people that woke up almost immediately when there started to become shortages and said, we can build that. Like, essentially, fuck this, we're going to solve this damn thing. And they did. And so I love this story. And, the idea that this is going to scale up to 50,000 visors a day. I mean, I don't think PPE is resolved, but it sounds, at least from the media reports, which are maybe is the only way we know, it seems like the demand is at least somewhat meeting need, although not now that's shifted to testing, which is not meeting need. But you know, I think about this every day. You know, I love my job. Glenn, I assume you love your job. Alexa, you love your job. Can you imagine how you'd feel on day 3 of your job if you walked into the office knowing that the system that you worked for, the hospital system, the government, the state, was literally asking you to risk your life because they couldn't get you masks and gloves? I mean, it's just the hypocrisy of that just makes my blood boil, because they still have to leave their kids at home or their loved ones and get in, the subway or get to work, and then they know they're going to be risking their life to save other people's lives.
Yeah, it really is unfair. And
somebody on the radio, on podcast the other day, said it's like saying to firemen, pull up to the house, get out, you don't have a jacket, you don't have boots, you don't have a helmet, run into the house on fire. Go.
Yeah.
I think they'd say, you know what? In order for me to do my job, I need a fireproof vest.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't blame them for not running into the burning house.
Absolutely not.
All right. So that's one. There's another one here. Let's just go to the next one.
Yeah, well, I just want to say about that one there, which is interesting. We started this site, this sort of a site within our site at Spectrum. So I'm not sure if all of your viewers and listeners know, but the IEEE is a large professional organization of people who are interested in technology, people who work in technology, either directly or indirectly.
Like 100, 150? No, so it's hundreds of thousands, right? I mean, it's a massive.
400,000, yeah. So all around the world, more than half are outside of North America. So we pretty early on, very early on, we decided to set up this site where members could connect with each other. And we decided to become like a kind of clearinghouse of interesting thing members were doing, because our members are into all kinds of things. They're all linked because they're interested in technology, but we've got people in biotech and biomedical tech and, control theory, like I said, control systems and circuit design and software and, testing, investors, entrepreneurs. But we knew that many of these people were going to be doing fascinating things, and we wanted to give them a way to talk to other members and for these people to connect and see what other people were doing. So we put out a call. We said, get in touch with us. Tell us what you're doing. And that's the way that thing came in that you had before. And we've had a number of our members have done this. What they've done is they have used 3D printing, access to certain, 3D printing and other things that have to actually create things like PPE, personal protective equipment, that's in great demand. So it turns out that these folks are able to make really good visors. They're able I think in one case, they were making over 1,000 a day. To ramp up to 50,000 a day, they'd have to go to injection molding. But, these masks are as good and as effective as the masks that were being used beforehand. And it's a kind of heartwarming story, really.
I love that story, and I think that it's that kind of spirit that we all need to solve this problem. It's not going to be solved in silos. All right, so one more. Let's talk about the consortium that mobilized roboticists to help with COVID-19. I mostly just love that picture.
Yeah, it's a great picture. Yeah,
right. I mean, because that's I mean, technology is going to have to solve this.
Right. So the idea is that it was 6 or 7 years ago with the Ebola epidemic in West Africa. A very talented and esteemed roboticist at Texas A&M University named Robin Murphy got involved with a project that was designed to figure out how robots could be applied to keeping human beings out of the line of fire, if you will, out of the way of these terrible germs, these terrible pathogens. So she started thinking, and she put together she was part of a project where they were brainstorming ideas for using robots for this. And the upshot was that it wasn't so simple as, well, goodness, just replace people with robots, because there are a number of applications where you can't do that. And there are other ones where you could, but you probably shouldn't. So for example, we've heard a lot about telehealth and the idea of putting robots in a room with patients where the doctor is on a video screen on the robot and the robot's in the room and the person is talking to this doctor on a video screen on a robot. And it's a little bit, they're kind of, arguments for and against that. But I think that Dr. Murphy was more interested in areas, and there are plenty where, it makes sense to use robots for this. And because you're keeping a human away from the germs. So that picture you showed before is an interesting one, because in effect, that's a robotic stretcher. You can see that there's a patient who's securely held on this rugged device with, obviously can traverse rugged terrain. And that means that two people aren't carrying that person on a stretcher. They're not exposed to whatever pathogens that person is shedding. So that's just one example. There are plenty of others. There are hospitals now that are using robots to deliver medications to rooms, because the hospitals are outfitted with the infrastructure that lets the robots easily, conveniently travel up and down hallways, go up and down elevators, and so on. So there again, that's great. That means that's something that humans don't have to do. It's an exposure that they don't have to risk.
You said something really important, and I just want to underline it. Like, whenever a politician says, well, we've never seen anything like this before, that's actually not really true. I mean, people have fought, terrible diseases and terrible situations for a really long time. And there's a whole, there are people for whom when the phone rings and they say, this is what's going on in Africa, or this is what's, this is SARS, or they have a system, they know how to do it. And so something like a robotic stretcher that's being developed today is not going to go back in the closet and never be used again. I mean,
right.
It's going to be used somewhere. All right, listen, let's just do one more upbeat robot, because
upbeat robot.
Yeah,
you're going to do the marimba playing rapping robot, aren't you?
Yes, this is.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's go there.
All right, hold on. We're going to actually play it. Here we go.
Yeah.
Hold on. Can I? Here. You can talk over it and just explain.
So the robot plays marimbas, but it not only plays marimbas, it composed this music. And it bops its head up and down. So, and it can also rap, and it can rap along with a human rapper at the same time and respond to the human rapper. So it uses a neural network, and there's a lot of advanced tech here. There's a robot there. It's called Shyman. This is from a music tech institute at Georgia Tech, I believe, has a music and technology institute, I think. And that's where this robot was created. Do we have audio with this? I'm not hearing the audio.
I'm hearing it on my side.
Okay. I'm not hearing it here.
I'm playing it.
So this is a composition by this robot.
So cool.
Or by an AI associated with this robot. It's playing the marimbas, it's bopping its head. and it also raps. So
Jack of all trades, robot of all trades.
You know, I'm probably about a week away from ordering a robotic marimba robot for the house.
I don't think they're cheap.
Well, you know, look, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but part of it's like, okay, I'm not spending money going out to dinner. I'm not traveling. I'm not going on vacation. Maybe I'll buy myself a Sonos soundbar.
What do you think? I was thinking about this the other day. Like, this is the cheapest cost of living I've ever had in New York City.
Yeah, it's really true. It's really true. All right, guys. Listen,
I mean, I just want to say, for full disclosure, I mean, I love this. It's cute, but the music is really insipid. You know, but the thing is that it's probably no more insipid than 2/3 of pop music. So I don't know. I know that sounds really elitist, but
No, look, what worries me about AI generated anything is all it can really do is take the themes of something else that's worked and replicate it. Like, there's no, I mean, you can listen to a Madonna song and reverse engineer the structure and then put there's a lot of that.
We have a story coming out next month in Spectrum about an AI that was written to compose sonnets, Shakespearean sonnets. And they're not bad. That's the funny. It's the amazing thing is they're not that bad. I mean, they're not Shakespeare, but hey, who's Shakespeare?
We'll cover it when it publishes.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, stay inside. Wear masks when you go out. Stay safe. Read a good book, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay. Bye.